Foxy's butt is always a good way to start a video. So I got a lot of requests to do a fake tail tutorial, and this is something that took me a very long time to figure out. I used to have someone help me with it every single show. Hopefully this video will help. If you guys have any questions about it, just comment below. And an easier way to ask me questions is on my Instagram @EquestrianBliss. I just get so many comments on here, it's hard to filter through. Feel free to comment on there and ask me questions. And here we go. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is wash your horse's tail with conditioner, make it nice and clean and tangle free. I like to detangle with the Veteran detangler and just use a little bit. And I washed his tail earlier. You want to make sure you wash your fake tail with the same stuff that you washed the real tail with so it blends. Okay, so now that you can easily comb your fingers through the tail, it'll be much easier to put the fake tail in. And make sure when you're brushing the tail, you brush slowly so you don't rip hair out or as much. So, I'm going to take your tail after it's washed and completely dry. And normally I like to detangle and brush my tail as well. I'm not going to just because I'm not going to a show right now. Okay, you're going to grab a couple rubber ties. And I usually like to just grab 3. You can't see that, but I like to usually just grab 3. So you have a little bit extra, and because some of them break, and then if you got your hands tangled up in the braid, it's hard to go get more. You want to get rubber bands that are as close to the tail color as possible. Mine are bright white. I have brown ones, but I don't really want to waste them because I use those for shows. So if you're doing this by yourself, I usually like to take an extra rubber band, put the rest up there for now, and tie off the top part of his tail. Now, putting in a fake tail is a little bit hard if you have a horse with a thin tail, so just be careful of how much tail you're separating. So I like to put that off to the side. I'll pull it off a little bit. So now you have this space to work with. So you're going to take your fake tail. Foxy's a little thin, but it's the one that came with him, and I ripped hair out of it the past couple years. And I like to put the rubber bands that I have on my thumb, so I have them right there. After you have this part tied off to the side so it's out of your way, this part kind of depends on the thickness of the horse's natural tail, but I like to kind of go for the width of my thumb, if not a little tiny bit wider, but you don't want too big of a braid either. So you're going to get this part, and then you're going to start a little bit of a braid and have your tail of easy access either on your arm or on your thumb or somewhere. So you're going to start a braid, and once you have, and detangle as you go, because if you end up with a big knot, that's just hard to get out. Once you have a little bit of the braid here, you're going to stop and separate it so you can clearly distinct the 3 parts of the braid. And then you're going to take your fake tail, and you're going to take one strand of the braid and loop it through. So the fake tail is here on one strand of the braid. And then you're going to push that fake tail up and continue with the braid and keep it tight so that fake tail can't slip down. Boy, Foxy. Okay, and you don't want to go too far so the braid sticks out of his tail because that's just awkward. But once you get, and before you tie off your braid, I like to go down and check once more that the tail hasn't slipped down or is it too far up. And then you're going to tie off the braid with the rubber band. It gets knotted. Sloppy, but that's okay. And just keep on tying. And I like to go as tight as the band can possibly go. And when you're done with the tail and you're going to take it out, don't even think about trying to save the band, just cut it out. Well, don't cut the hair, but cut the band. There we go, that's the last loop. And then, especially with Elliot's fake tail, because Elliot's fake tail is much bigger and heavier, I like to go back and band right under where the fake tail sits in the braid so it has less of a chance of falling out or slipping down in the braid. So I'm going to go back and loop this through again. This part is probably one of the most difficult just because the hair gets all tangled. So again, make that one as tight as it can possibly go. And make sure when you're braiding, you're not braiding like up, because then it's going to be hard to lay the tail down flat. So once you're done, make sure the braid can lay flat, and then you can break this band and lay this tail over it. Okay, oops. There we go. Okay, so now you have the fake tail in, so brush over it, but you want to be careful because that braid is still there and you don't want to rip the bands while you're braiding, or while you're brushing. So just kind of brush gently around it. And you want to be very, very careful whenever you brush a fake tail because you don't want to rip hair out, obviously, because it's not going to grow back. So I like to just kind of brush around the tail, and make sure you use detangler when you're brushing the real tail or the fake tail so you don't rip hair out. Okay, and then you're going to go back. I like to go back with a regular body brush so it doesn't pull as much hair out, and fluff it up a little bit. A lot of people, I guess, skip this step, but you want to blend the tail in so it doesn't look like a fake tail. And Foxy's is a thin one, so it's kind of hard to blend, but just do the best you can and just kind of brush it in between and kind of mix the real tail in with the fake tail. And then you can even take some hairspray and kind of stick it in there.